One of the biggest points of contention or argument that spills over from the business to home is cash flow. It's actually not usually profitability. It's not how the business is going big picture or long term. It's how the business is going this week. Like how we're going to pay wages, or how we're going to pay the bills, or how we're going to achieve what we want to achieve this week. Welcome to the latest edition of the Family in Business podcast. As always, joining me in the chair is Caroline. Caroline, since last episode, what's been happening in your world?
Oh, I've had a great week. The week before last, to be honest, I had a shit week, and it was a cash flow week, which is why I'm really loving this episode today. Because
today we're going to talk all about cash flow. So
we're talking about cash flow today. And my cash flow what was really interesting, cash flow didn't change, but I had a plan, which made me feel good. So I actually had a good week just implementing a plan. And then you say, oh, idiot, what was I worried about?
Yeah, interesting. Good week at my end as well. Thanks for asking. Good week at my end as well. So
I tell you what your week is allowed to be.
No.
I'm the wife.
You know what made my week so good? I'm talking about, on Saturday, we went and watched Isaiah, our eldest grandson, play soccer. Saturday after soccer, we caught up with Eloise, our granddaughter, and our youngest grandson, Connolly, and Nick for brunch.
Yeah.
And I got called Papa like 100 times by Connie. And then Sunday, we watched Archie play rugby league and caught up with Bossy on the sideline as well.
Yeah.
So cracking weekend. You couldn't help for a...
Yeah, it's nice.
Couldn't hope for a better weekend. Let's talk about cash flow.
Yeah.
First of all, we have to understand the difference between cash flow and profitability, right? So your business might be profitable. So if you sit back and you go, yeah, man, my accountant or my bookkeeper keeps telling me my business is profitable, but I got no bloody money. So that's a cash flow issue. So cash flow is really around timing and when money comes in and when money goes out. And that's really what cash flow is. But the thing that we have to understand about cash flow is that, cash is king, right? Cash flow is king, and it can just be incredibly stressful. You can have a very successful business but still be massively stressed by cash flow, can't you?
100%.
All right, so Caroline, let's talk about cash flow, because we know that cash flow causes, really a major stress. And let's talk about some of the stresses that people feel when cash flow is tight, right? So they feel like they feel massively under pressure. Yep.
Yeah, they're short, they're cranky.
Yep.
Lack confidence.
Yep.
Imposter syndrome comes into it.
Yep. It can affect relationships.
Yep.
Like if we're talking about family businesses, not the biggest, but one of the biggest points of contention or argument that spills over from the business to home is cash flow. It's actually not usually profitability. It's not how the business is going big picture or long term. It's how the business is going this week. Like how we're going to pay wages, or how we're going to pay the bills, or how we're going to achieve what we want to achieve this week. Yeah.
And it's funny because it's not it's not necessarily the number that you've got in your bank account. It's not the dollar amount that you have in your bank account. It's the thought of what you need for that dollar. So, when you're at home, you're looking at the mortgage and you're looking at your bank account, okay, I need to pay the mortgage. So it's almost the outcome of not having that money in there.
Yeah, and you probably resonate with this because I remember having a conversation with a client of ours who doing cracking business, a small service business, making $1 million, turning over really good money, been in business for a long time, great success, great profitability, but just sitting in his car outside his house one night and just not wanting to go in and face the family because he didn't know how he was going to make payroll that week. Right? Now, there's some reasons behind that because he actually had, a massive, big, long list of debtors that he could have called in, and when we helped him to do that, the cash flow situation was resolved. But there's just that massive amount of stress of going, God, I feel on the outside I'm successful, and I know I am, but on the inside you feel like you're drowning.
Yeah. And the anxiety you have of not having cash flow, of not having wages in there. And we talk to clients all the time often about this. Oh, shit, how am I going to pay wages this week? I've got taxes coming.
Yep.
And it is overwhelming. And it is totally understandable that as a family business, you're going to go home and bitch about that and be cranky or worry and that shift goes home, and you need to do the best you can not to have that shift at home.
It does go home, doesn't it? And it permeates everything that you do when when you've got that kind of
It's just a
emotional
reactive.
stress, and I'm sure you can identify if you've got that. Even if you're not worried about making payroll on a weekly basis, you just need that one time when you worry about making payroll or paying your creditors or paying your rent or whatever, making your mortgage payments, and that just sits so emotionally draining, which is what you mean when you say it's not just financial.
No, it's not.
Emotional
No.
as well. But the reality is, if we unpack that and we go, okay, so this is the situation we're in. How did we get here? And there's a bit of a pattern that we see in how people have got to that place.
One of the things that we always talk about, and I challenge people out there, businesses out there, to look at the concept of your cash flow and your calendar. The service-based businesses in any industry have high at times in the year through the calendar when it's busy.
It's more seasonal.
It's more seasonal.
Yeah.
Whether accountants clearly are seasonal. At the quarters and the end of financial years, it's going to be hectic. But all businesses do that. But you need to be able to look at it and go, okay, this is my busy time. So all the other times around that where I'm still need to be producing money. You still need
finding ways of generating cash flow.
Generate cash flow.
Yeah, yeah. If I look at over the years we've worked with people and we sort of go, well, how did this? Or they'll come to you and go, I've got a great business, but I've got this massive cash flow stress. And I think there's a couple of things. One, they don't really monitor their numbers well enough. Like you've got to know your numbers, right? And so you might go, well, I've got to know my numbers, but Mark, what numbers do I need to know? Well, I think really basic numbers. You need to know. Your gross profit. You need to know your cost of doing business that leads to your net profit. You need to know what your overheads are.
Your break even.
You need to know what your break even point is. You need to know really basic numbers. And we did an episode a little while ago with Adrian Waller where we spoke about various levers you can pull to understand that. We probably should get Adrian back in to have a chat about that. But I think just number one is knowing your basic numbers. But the other thing too, Caroline, is avoiding hard conversations.
Yeah.
Both internal and external.
Yeah. Nobody likes talking about money.
Yeah, I don't mind.
I don't mind when I'm going to the jewelry shop or something.
I don't mind talking about money. But what we mean by that is we worked with a really successful service business once, and they were having these cash flow issues. And the reason was because they had this massive list of debtors. And we sort of said to them, like, pick the phone up and tell those people you want your money. And they've gone, oh, yeah, we don't like to ask for money. Well, you did the bloody job.
Yeah.
You did the job. And I think I actually said to them, oh, hang on a second, let me get your business card. I don't see bank on here anywhere. You're not a bank, right? So if they can't afford to pay you, they can go and put it on their credit card, or they can go get a loan from the bank or get an overdraft or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be providing an overdraft. So, like, if you're listening right now and you're going, if I think about it, my debtors owe me this amount of money. Well, why? Why? You've got to have the hard conversations. And if you don't want to, I was going to say this actually, and I might correct myself, save you doing it. If you don't want to because you don't want to have the hard conversations, then get someone else to do it, right?
Yeah.
But the truth is, if you don't want to have the hard conversations, people will continue to just put it over the top of you.
You're not the priority to pay unless you ask for. If you need to ask for it,
Squeaky wheel.
often you don't become the priority.
Once that squeaky wheel gets the oil, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm always of the view that can I ask for a payment for something I've done? Damn straight I can, because I did a fucking good job when I did it.
Yeah.
So now I deserve to be paid for it.
You don't. I think people are expecting the bill. If you've provided a service, you're not, as a consumer, you're not going, oh, the accountant's not going to. They don't want me to pay. That's okay.
So I guess the point we're making is that cash flow issues don't just appear overnight. No. They're not like magic. You don't wake up one morning like a bunion on your toe. You don't wake up one morning and go, oh, hang on, I've got a cash flow issue. They appear because you don't have the right systems in place. You don't know your numbers, and you're not prepared to have hard conversations.
Yeah.
Both and I said before, both internally and externally. What I meant by that was sometimes you got to have hard conversations with your team or your business partner.
Sure. If you've got a sales team, my God, if you know
Step up.
Yeah, in 2 weeks' time you're going to have a major cash flow issue, you need to be chatting to your sales team now to get them to hustle a little bit.
Yep.
And make it worth their while if that's what you need to do.
Yep. And I think sometimes too, Caroline, it's about, and you and I have had this conversation on numerous occasions, where sometimes it's between, business partners as well, where you can sort of go, well, hang on a second. I know you want to do that, but our cash flow says you can't do it this week or this month or this quarter, right? Like I know you want to buy that new piece of equipment, or I know you want to book that, whatever it might be. You want to buy a car or a holiday, whatever it might be. I want you to do it too, but just not right now.
Yeah, but you can add. Yeah, that's true, but that shouldn't be a no. That there shouldn't be a no. That's never going to happen, because if you can forecast, let's chat off air.
If anybody from Maserati in Brisbane is listening to this, please give me a call.
Well, it's about scheduling that in, and let's go back to the 30 years with the mortgage and the Maserati. Maybe we can align.
But you're right. It shouldn't be a no. It should be a not
be
now.
No, it's a not now, and let's forecast it. Add it into your forecast, because and that's where I went from the week before. I was like having a shit week, and you go, okay, cash flow. We need to look at that. You put a system in place. You get a bit of a plan going. You know, make sure your forecasts are correct.
Yep.
Because I mean, now more than ever, you've got the budget coming out, and people are nervous.
Yep.
But you can help with how you're feeling, how you're going to be able to absorb that mentally, that stress of a budget, if that is going to impact your business.
Yep.
If you can sort of stop back and go, okay, we've got this. It's all good. You can pivot.
How you get to the point of being able to say, it's okay, we've got this, I believe you can get to that by thinking strategically.
Yeah.
So not reacting, thinking strategically. I mean, that's something we're working on now with the current federal budget, but it's about thinking strategically. But there was a nice segue there, because you said it shouldn't be a no, it should be a not now, but we should forecast it. Because what we've done is we've presented you with all of the issues. Here's the thing, right? Cash flow is an issue. You know it's emotional. You take it home, all of those sorts of things. Let's just get into some detail on what the solutions are. And we've said that know your numbers, know your basic numbers, and be prepared to have hard conversations. Ask people for money. Stop being a bank.
Yeah.
Like stop being a line of credit, you know?
I love it. When we're talking about asking people for money. And I was having a chat with a client, and we were talking cash flow. It was super was due and all those things. It was before the changes came in.
Yep.
And I said to him the week before, get on and have a chat to those clients who you've done the work for. And it was a scenario of he's done a certain amount of work for them.
Yeah.
So he was due to get paid for that. But there was also work coming up in that same account where he was needing to get paid. So I was like, okay, ask them for the money now, because you can't do 2 lots of money. So pay me this week and then I'll send you another invoice, because that's going to throw your whole schedule out of when you're getting your money.
Bit Jerry Maguire, isn't it? Like, show me the money. So, but the other thing is just forecasting. So you talk about like a 12-week forecast, build it out, understand where over the next 3 months, what's your incoming revenue, what's your outgoing expenses, what's your cost of doing business, what are your wages, what are the recurring expenses, what are some of the debt repayments you've got, and actually map out that. Even if you did like you can do it in Xero, you can do it in Reckon or MyOb or whatever, you can do it on an Excel spreadsheet, or you can do it on a piece of paper and a pen. It doesn't really matter how you do it, but just map it out and understand it. And don't be afraid of the numbers. Getting to know the numbers is what's going to help you to get through that cash flow crisis.
If you can add in there too, have a buffer. Because if you can have a buffer, even just 2-week buffer, you're going to be able to absorb the stress a lot easier. And you're also going to be able to implement different changes where you need to, without having that fear of, holy shit, I've got to pay wages and I can't pay wages, so I've got to put that money into my account personally, and then that travels out. So have a buffer, and then you're not going to have that stress.
Yes, 100%, and set those buffers early. So I always look at buffers like an umbrella. I'm not going to go and buy an umbrella when it's already pissing down rain, because it's too late, right? I want to have an umbrella ready for when it does rain. So set your buffers up early, so that when the rain does come and you've got a bit of a cash flow issue, you've at least got a little bit of wiggle room. And you may not have a buffer that's going to solve all of your cash flow problems, but if all it does is just dial the stress needle down just a little bit, yeah.
Well, if you're talking about umbrellas, I think Maseratis have an umbrella in the car, so you wouldn't
Perfect.
even not need an umbrella.
Rely and repeat on my earlier question. So bill buffers, and we've spoken about this, improve collections, right? And improve cash movement. They have those hard conversations, stop people being allowed to be overdue.
Yeah.
Bill buffers early. And the other thing too, I think, is communication. So communication with your team, communication with your clients, and communicate with, if you are seeing yourself getting into a bit of a cash flow situation, there's somebody you can't pay, communicate early with them.
Yeah.
Have that conversation. Hey, I know it's due this week. I'm in this difficult situation, but I'll be right next week, or I'll be right in 2 weeks' time. What most people want is to see you succeed and to get the money that's owed to them, not to screw you over being a few days late on a payment.
Yeah.
So get in front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. These are the sort of things that we talk about all the time. If you're listening to this on your favourite podcast app, please like, subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit, who's in a family business, who would benefit from the chats that Caroline and I have, please make sure you share it with them. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love to know that you're enjoying it. So like it, subscribe to the channel so you get the episodes straight to you. But also, if there's something you'd like to hear us chat about, pop that into the chat box. And of course, we'd also love to hear what's been happening in your world. As always, thanks, Caroline. Till we speak in the next episode of the Family and Business Podcast, please make sure you spend time with those who matter most.